you been?
Very good. Yourself?
I've been behaving.
Yeah? Got the bike put away for the year?
Yeah. I've got the battery tender in it, but I think we'll probably still get another nice day out.
I think so. I'm a musician and I'm able to get all my harmonicas and my amplifier strapped onto my motorcycle.
Oh, really?
So I take that as often as I can.
What do you play?
Blues and country.
No, what instruments?
Oh, harmonica.
Just a harmonica?
Yeah.
My son, I played the guitar, trumpet, and a little bit of piano reluctantly, which I wish I would have been such a jerk when I was a kid. I wanted to learn the trumpet, so my mom hires this guy. I won't teach him anything until he knows the piano. What's that got to do with a trumpet?
Reading music and music theory.
Yeah, well, now I know.
Yeah.
But
Baseball.
I taught my son, he was in between kindergarten and first grade, how to play the guitar, and he got really good. And he played the guitar in first grade for the fifth graders. He was a solo guitarist, and he's kept it up. Now he just turned 49, and he can play trumpet, trombone, keyboard, guitar, everything but the drums. Piano, he can play that. But he's
Does he play out or just for fun?
no, he plays in the church. He had his own band, but he played for the church, and he actually played classical music on the guitar.
Okay. Very difficult.
Yeah.
We went to a harmonica players convention, which was completely nuts. Completely nuts. We were the only. There was 550 people. I think we were the only sober ones. And they had a guy, a couple playing classical on the harmonicas.
Really?
Yeah, they played Beethoven's Symphony for two violins on two harmonicas.
I saw a video of you about it was Billy Joel, and there was a bunch of guys, and they were singing Piano Man, and the one guy starts out playing the harmonica. So that's pretty cool.
I play every week at least. I'm playing 3 times this week.
In public?
Mm-hmm.
Public concert?
Yeah, I just played yesterday. I'm playing Sunday. I'm sorry, I played yesterday. I played Tuesday in Crystal Lake on Main Street, someplace I've never played before. And then I play a copper fiddle in Lake Zurich. It's a distillery, from what I understand. It's pretty popular for. They get a few musicians in there, so we'll be there. And then Saturday's Colony of the Page, and then Sunday's back at Wakanda.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was that many people playing the harmonica.
Not in Mchenry County. There's a few, not very many.
I wish I would have went further with it, but it's really hard. I mean, as good as my son is, he's 10 times better than I ever was. But it's almost walking in time to get.
Oh, I'll never.
Never seen that. Every time I see it, I get, oh, I don't want to see it.
It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun. The whole idea is to just get out and do something different and have fun with it. What the successful one I'm working with is a very good country guitar player singer, and then I fill it in the fills with blues harmonica.
There you go. There you go.
How you doing?
Hi,
You know,
Joe Fromm, nice to meet you.
oh well. See,
Yeah, make sure you don't.
I know that. But then John called, and I went to office, and 3 months later, he
Mark Yeager.
well, when I went to Baltimore,
Yes, I did.
he had one thing, so
Yeah, the Cubs lost.
This is Laura. Where's your?
yeah, I left. I'm sorry. Remember the same time he did. I have no idea for Baltimore, and because I had a lot of years to go back. I went back, maintained all my seniority,
Instead of meeting on the 26th, next one's the 15th, but I'm not sure, I'll find out.
I have seen her already.
Junior person on the board.
Yeah, you're right. You know, even though I was there for all those years, I never, and that guy,
To be honest.
last time I saw Judy, she was in water.
They decided they weren't gonna do anybody after me. Oh, I knew that whole thing was done. No. I'm sorry. No, I did not answer the way you wanted me to answer. I answered honestly. You know, my integrity is worth more than anything. Here's what I think happened. And this is my
Yeah, I know.
We went to that
I
fun.
wish I could find some time.
We didn't sign up.
Between this and that fire in Wonder Lake was literally 3 doors down from me. So we didn't sign up so that I'm not, because I don't know how to not raise my hand. So now I'm now part of the 3 people organizing Wonder Lake's neighborhood watch. Progressive group, gun club, too much stuff. Working through on his campaign. You know, don't surprise me.
Oh, I'll surprise you.
Good to know. parents don't live anymore, so I don't usually speak to them. Except for when I protested kids.
You know, it's interesting how many people will sit at a meeting.
75%. Well, it would have been nice if it was Steve, but so somebody like the map, they wanted to, neither one of them just something that, in my opinion, should have been something and not go
And the other woman, applying all things to their
So maybe I need to it's all going out of better places than this one.
Testing.
I think it works.
Good count. Just let me double check, and I think we might. Let me just, I'll give you a minute. One second.
Okay, it is now 7:05. I'd like to call a meeting to, with a pledge of allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, we have public comments right now. It's limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name.
I have a list for your people that signed up. Anybody that wouldn't like to sign up yet may do so.
Thank you. Okay, we have a Larry, I'm not pronouncing this, or Laura, I'm sorry, Castro. Am I pronouncing that right?
Hello, my name is Laura Cagito. I live at 7506 Timber Trail, Mchenry. I've only been living here for about 4 years, but I really like Mchenry, and I really care a lot about it. And my background is I'm a scientist, but I also have an MBA. I worked for my company for about 15 years, and I've done a lot of feasibility studies. That's what I do. And when we do feasibility studies, we look at everything. We look at benefits, risks, we look at financials, how much things are going to cost. We look at competing technologies or other alternatives. We look to see what other people have done in similar situations. So I believe that in order to get a referendum gone through, we really need to do a full study, a complete study. In my company, we also get objective points of view. We go outside the company, to get some of the studies done. So I think that it would really be not responsible if we put this referendum on the voters' ballot without doing a full study, and also without letting everybody know about it either.
Exactly.
So that is just my opinion. That's all I have to say.
Now we have Judith Garland.
Hi, my name is Judith Gottlieb. I live at 2814 Regner Road. We're this call leading because 6 months ago, the electors in this township unanimously directed the trustees to perform a cost study before proceeding with a binding referendum to abolish the road district. At every meeting since then, the trustees have been asked about the progress on the study. They refuse to take action, and they say nothing. Zero response. At every meeting since then, the trustees have been asked to share plans for how they intend to carry out the job of the road district. They say nothing. Zero response. Yet when Bob Anderson gets interviewed by the Northwest Herald, he talks about hiring private landscapers and pickup trucks to plow subdivision roads. Bob didn't mention salting. Mike Rakestraw said the board would hire an administrator to run the road department. Now, none of us were privy to an open meeting where these matters were discussed. There has not been an agenda item on the monthly board meeting to address any of our questions, and there has not been side discussion about it. As electors in this township, the Illinois statutes explicitly grant us rights to direct the board on issues of property and money. In fact, the statutes go on to say quote, "The electors may make all bylaws, rules, and regulations deemed necessary to carry into effect the powers granted in this Article 30. Article 30 is the township code. And they may take all necessary measures and give directions for the exercise of their corporate powers." So, we are also here because the trustees decided that the salaries of the full-time elected staff should be cut in half, and that in the future, trustees should not be reimbursed in any way for the money they spend, for the time they spend on township business. Most of us here do not think we will find qualified people to run for full-time jobs with half-time salaries. And few, other than the independently wealthy, will serve. This is a destructive action. It will cut off the township from having qualified elected officials and will preclude many ordinary citizens from running in the future, if it is not correct. Thank you.
Next, we have Trudy. I won't try to pronounce these last names because I'll
Moriarty.
destroy them.
Good evening, I'm Tree Moriarty. I live at 505 Grand Drive, the northeast corner of Statey Highlands. I have nothing prepared. I'm up here to make a comment that I think is important to all of us. Feasibility studies, knowing that 20% of the main roads will be done, and then pickup trucks and plows will do the rest. I'm sitting in a far corner. I'd like to know when I could expect to get my roads plowed and salted. Do I have to wait for a fella working part-time to finish his job first and come to my road maybe 10 o'clock at night when I haven't been able to get out all day? My main question, my main comment that I haven't heard addressed at all, where's the liability? If my mailbox gets knocked down, can I call the road district, or do I have to find the pickup trucks that did it? And are they all gonna be required to carry commercial insurance? We need to know this. Our landscaping might get destroyed, our mailboxes might get knocked down, it's happened. Snowstorms are unpredictable, and plowing is unpredictable. We need to know these things. And I urge the board to get us this information with everything else, the cost savings, the feasibility on what's gonna make money and what's gonna lose money. The residents need to know how the work is going to be done, how they're going to be serviced. I've been on my street 45 years, and the road district has been great. I hate to see it go away.
Next, we have a Robert. I think this is Beltran.
Hello, my name is Robert Beltran. I live at 2814 Brickner Road. Good evening, everyone. First, an update. Today we have filed an appeal in appellate court on the flawed decision declining our quo warranto complaint that the board exceeded its authority by proceeding with a referendum to abolish the road district, despite the unanimous vote at the annual meeting requiring a cost study. Meanwhile, this Friday we are in federal court seeking an injunction to halt the referendum in its tracks. Why do we believe that we have the right and the power to direct our township board to perform such a study or to hold off on the referendum? We believe it because the statutes say so, and that's why we're in court. The statutes also say that when we electors call a special meeting, we have all the powers we are given at an annual meeting. Statutory language aside, we believe it because this township itself tells us so on its own website. I'm quoting, "Township government is the oldest form of government in America. It was started by the early Americans who wanted to escape from the autocratic governments of Europe. Established as a pure democratic process, the people have a direct voice in this grassroots government. This began at the annual town meetings where people from surrounding areas came together to discuss important issues and establish laws. Today, townships hold the annual town meetings on the second Tuesday in April. Well, annual meetings no longer deal with roaming livestock or muddy condition of dirt roads. Maybe it continues to be committed to responding to the needs of the residents of this community by providing compassionate, efficient, and accountable government services. I would emphasize this responding to the needs and accountable. Clearly, addressing road issues was an original function of the annual meetings. And unfortunately, this board has so far failed to acknowledge or exercise the responsibilities it needs to do when we gave them their direction. Thank you.
And we have a Chuck Hillstrom.
Chuck Hillstrom, 2318 Orchard Beach Road. Have generational property, been here since the early 60s. I disagree with some of the stuff that was said here, where that a special meeting, you have the same authority as an annual meeting. Actually, under Robert's rules, a special meeting can only have an agenda that can't wait till a regularly scheduled meeting. As far as going to the court system and all that, that's fine, but when it comes to the salaries increase and stuff, that should be under a regular scheduled meeting under Robert's rules. You cannot put that on the agenda of a special meeting. It's inappropriate to do that. And the township is bound by their charter. For them to usurp Robert's rules, you would need it either in their charter or their bylaws, and it would take a 2/3 vote to usurp Robert's rules. Robert's rules says you cannot put something on a special meeting that can wait until a regular scheduled meeting, and I believe that we're talking about a salary for 2020. So it doesn't make any sense to call a special meeting to do that. That's all I have.
Okay, Michael Truller?
Caller. My name is Michael Toller. I live at 7511 Hickory Trail in Wonder Lake. I'll be following up a little bit on what Robert had to say there. We also believe that we can direct our township because the state comptroller tells us on the website. A unique feature of township governments is the annual township meeting that all townships hold each April. The only instance in local government in which the citizens have a direct say in how their government is run. Some township detractors claim that the annual town meeting is archaic, but they overlook the fact that this is true democracy in action. No other form of government annually places 38 specific voting powers in the hands of the people. This is just another example of why township government is truly the grassroots governance of the people. In 1980, Illinois 4th District Appellate Court decision, Griff versus Spansky, Justice Albert G. Weber III wrote, "Township government today is probably the last bastion of pure democracy, in an otherwise bureaucratized republic. It's the direct descendant of the idealized state envisioned by the ancient philosophers, where every man could speak his piece and be afforded a hearing by his peers. The government may propose action, but it's subject to the will of its constituents." The comptroller goes on to say, "Township government was and is intended to follow the will of the people and to respond to their needs. Township government today meets these criteria better and more effectively than any other form of local government. Will we let Mchenry Township be the place where the last bastion of pure democracy is squashed? Will we cave to those who would make these fine words a sham? Let's send our message tonight that the answer is no. And our message from these electorates, from us here, we are not Republicans, we are not Democrats in this room today. We are citizens sitting here looking out for each other, our own interests and the interests of our neighbors. Thank you."
test Brian McCrafty.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Brian McCafferty, live at 4820 East Wonder Lake Road in Wonder Lake, a lifetime resident of Wonder Lake, and I want to address two issues tonight. First is the slashing of the salaries of key employees. Our township supervisor, our township assessor, and township road commissioner have continued to do their job well, very well. Yet the trustees have decided to reduce their salaries not by a little, but by an exorbitant amount. Why? Just because? To slash their salaries like that is not only irresponsible, but cruel as well. Who does that? Instead of slashing their salaries, trustees should be proud of them and of the work that they do. I know that I am. Bob Anderson also serves on the Harrison School Board. Would he slash the superintendent's salary like that? Or the principal's salary like that? I think not. I have witnessed Jim Cannon's work firsthand. He is highly educated and uses his education to faithfully serve the people of Mchenry Township. There's a word for you, serve. Secondly, some of the trustees would tend to say, let the people vote and have their say in township matters. Yet, they have disregarded a vote that we have already taken. 76-0 to have a cost-saving study done. They have irresponsibly refused to do so. They have refused to follow the will of the people, us. They shouldn't need a vote to tell them what to do. That should just be automatic. To perform a cost-saving study should be obvious to them. By their actions, they have shown that they are not here to serve the people. There's that word again, serve. So then, why are they here? In conclusion, no study plus no facts equals no votes.
Okay, next, we have the nomination and election of a moderator.
I elect Eric Syvertson. Nominate.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That being said, he is elected. Would you step up? I will now administrate the oath. Raise your right hand. I, and repeat your whole name,
I, Eric Syverson,
have been elected
to
the office of moderator
the office of moderator
in the township of McHenry,
in the township of McHenry,
in the county of McHenry,
in the county of McHenry,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office
of Mchenry Township Moderator
of McHenry Township Moderator
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And did you sign it? I will have to stamp this with the seal before. And see. The rest is yours.
All right. All right, so the first order of new business that's up for deliberation is number 1 on your agenda. It's that minimum annual salaries and meetings compensation of persons serving as township officers shall be restored and remain so restored through the succeeding term of office as follows. Supervisor, $97,610. Highway Commissioner, $106,919. Assessor, $87,994. Clerk, $14,242. Trustees, $100 per meeting. So that's up for deliberation. Is there anybody who would like to? Is there anybody who would like to?
Is there a motion? I think somebody over there that wants to be recognized.
I'd like to speak on the subject.
Do we need a motion, or does the motion submitted by the, in writing by the? Okay. Okay, so we had a motion
I'll second it.
by
Sue
Sue Draftcorn and a second by Marcia Nelson.
The next question is any discussion?
And then any discussion on that matter?
Yes, there is. Do I need the microphone, or can I just?
Yeah.
I'll do the microphone. As I say in the back there, I hear all of the democracy and all this self-governing and all this stuff. This is not the proper forum for this. We're talking about salaries from 2020. You cannot have a special meeting according to Robert's rules, according to law, raising their salaries at a special meeting. I'm not for it, I'm not against it, I'm just saying procedurally, it's not correct. And I put in a motion to table this indefinitely until it can be brought up at the proper time. Because we're, when it comes to democracy, everybody has a right. We've got 2 years to have it presented properly. But pulling it in a special meeting is inappropriate. It violates Robert's rules, it violates our charter, it violates any bylaws that you have here. You don't have the authority to do that without having the vote.
They're not increasing the salaries, they're restoring them to where they were before.
Eric, I second the original motion.
Yeah, are you done?
Is there, I have a motion to table it indefinitely. There's a second.
No, you can't do that.
If it's an inappropriate motion, I can motion.
Not on the agenda.
Are you a lawyer? Are you an attorney or something that you know all this stuff?
No, I've been involved in many different, I volunteer a lot of my spare time in volunteering.
I'm just curious.
Hey, order. So we have a motion, we had a second. So that would be a motion that would go on top of the other motion, so it could be considered.
No, it's not on the agenda.
It was seconded. It was seconded in the back here. So
You can't have two motions on the floor.
but the motion is related to the first motion.
Can't do that.
Separately. What does the attorney say? What does the attorney say?
Mr. Militello, could you explain it?
You have discussion on that.
But if there's a motion to table,
Your discussion right now is right on the original motion.
but can't you call for a motion to table something would be an action on?
No, you can't have two motions on the floor at the same time.
Please don't make
on that motion.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we will go on with discussion on the original motion.
Yes.
Any other discussion on the original motion? Robert?
Okay. Unfortunately, statute overrides Robert's Rules of
That's
Order.
right.
And the statute says that we have all the powers, it literally says that we have all the powers that are available to us in the annual meeting. in the case we have on appeal right now, the judge, even though he denied the original complaint, acknowledged that money is property and we did have purview over property, and that we're giving money.
Not
Any other discussion on that?
Move the motion.
I have a question for the attorney. Does Robert's rules override Illinois statute?
Let's stick to the motion at hand, but to diverge for 1 second, what we're talking about is the state statute 60 ILCS 1/35-5, which is the township code. It calls for a special township meeting. It specifically says that special township meetings shall be held when the township board, or at least 15 voters of the township, file in the office of the township clerk a written statement that a special meeting is necessary for the interests of the township. The statement also sets forth the objects of the meeting, which must be relevant to the powers granted to the electors under this code. I'm not here to talk about whether those powers are or not, but I can tell you this: the reason why you're here is because the town clerk received a petition for a special meeting pursuant to that statute, and that is why the meeting is being held. The clerk did not make a finding or a decision as to whether or not those powers are relevant or not. So let me be clear on that. He's not making that decision. He's having the meeting pursuant to that petition.
Any more discussion on that motion?
Very quick item. I just thought people should know that the annual salaries and meeting compensations, those include benefits in them, so they're not taking home the amounts that are listed on this paper.
Can you please also state your name for the record? Can you state your name?
Oh, Judith Gottlieb, 2814 Regner Road. McHenry.
Anyone else like to speak to that?
Would you please restate the motion?
So the motion is that minimum annual salaries and meetings compensation of persons serving as township officers shall be restored or remain so restored through the succeeding term of office as follows: supervisor $97,610, highway commissioner $106,919, assessor $87,994, clerk $14,242, and the trustees $100 per meeting.
Thank you.
Motion to accept.
There's already a motion. So
All the issues.
Move the motion.
all right. So all those in favor, raise your hand. Are we counting votes?
Yes, take a count.
Somebody should count.
Count them. The clerk and the moderator get the vote. Moderator's not voting.
Moderator's not voting. Moderator's not voting. Or not? All right, all those opposed?
One.
Yay!
Two.
There was two.
Two.
Anyone abstaining? Two.
Who's in charge?
Two abstaining.
The moderator is conducting the meeting.
Is there any reason this gentleman over there has to walk around and intimidate people?
This is very unsafe.
Yeah, sit down.
Motion carries. Yeah. So the motion carries.
Yay.
So So the next order of business then will be a deliberation of that no referendum or ballot measure consolidating or eliminating the administration of township or township highway district property or the administrative offices and functions thereof shall be certified to be put before the voters absent reference to and public release of the definitive successor plan and a creditable cost-benefit study comparing the proposed alternative or alternatives. Any such ballot measure or referendum already so certified shall be immediately decertified by the township clerk and withdrawn. If not withdrawn, it shall be rendered null and void. Do we have a motion for that?
Point of
We
order.
have a motion. Can you state your name?
May I have a point of order?
Yes.
Tina Ruffin.
All right. And do we have a second on that?
I seconded her.
No. We have a second by John McCredo.
I have a point of order.
Okay.
May I ask the attorney? There was a second motion made and seconded. Don't we have to vote on that to show that it was given attention?
We did.
No, the first vote, yes, but there wasn't.
At the time, there was the first, and then there was a second. In my understanding, there was public comment, discussion relative to that
The
motion.
first vote or the second?
The first.
The first, yes, that's done. But since there was a motion made and second on that second situation, does it not just call for a vote for the record?
Yeah, I'm not gonna comment on that. All I'm gonna say is that you had a first and a second on a agenda item that you have in front of you. And the discussion then was relative to that first and second motion, basically the agenda item. And as a result of that, then the vote ensued. So,
It's backwards.
the items.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And so, as far as a point of order, only the items that are on the agenda are to be discussed. So you have 2 items on the agenda, which the moderator then is in charge of basically running the meeting after being appointed by the clerk. But kind of circling the wagon back to the issue, the state statute sets forth the procedures for that special meeting that we have for today.
Please use the mic.
The state statute sets forth the procedure for why you're here today.
So do we have a motion and a second. Do we have any deliberation on that?
I do have a question.
Okay.
Vern Schiller, Draper Road. If this motion passes, does that mean there will be nothing on the ballot about what's the word about it? Consolidation?
I can speak to that. My name is Bill King, and I live here in Mchenry. I just received a absentee ballot today to vote by home, and that agenda item is on the ballot. So it would have to be either ignored or struck or something. It's been printed already.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
I would just like to say that there are a lot of people in the county and in the township who don't educate themselves about these issues. They don't come to these meetings. How do you expect?
Use the mic, please.
I'm sorry. I thought I talked loud enough, but I appreciate you saying that. There are a lot of people who don't come to these meetings. They don't educate themselves on the issues that are happening in our township and in our county. So how do you expect the general electorate to understand that particular issue and vote on it? In other words, to leave it on the ballot is what we're after here. And to allow the general population to say yes or no. Most people don't even care, they just go yes, 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 or no, 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 no. So I think we need some honest deliberation and some education about these issues, and that's what we're doing tonight.
And the lady in the front.
I'd like to see a few words.
Can you state your name for the record?
Pardon?
Can you state your name for the record?
Sure. I'm Judy Wald-Smith, and I'm at 2904 Kama in Mchenry. And I'm just winging it. I'll tell you what, we could not have better people in our township working. You look out, and if your road isn't plowed, don't go out. The whole staff, the crew, I mean, inside the office, outside, they are so polite and considerate. When I see them working, I've worked outside for many years, and I always appreciate it as water or something. So when I see those drivers, I have stopped them and given them water and said, you can use my washroom. These people work so hard. I mean, you're sitting in your houses, it's a snow, storms, anything, but they are out there. They're not grumpy, they work hard, they keep the equipment good, and we have all this political, all this stuff, and common sense isn't so common. What about these people, men and women, that are in our township that really work hard? And I think they should be commended. We always hear, you know, the negative, and I am proud, and I hope that we can keep it. And as far as Bob Anderson goes, I think Bob Anderson should stay being cutting hair. I think it's much safer. But I thank you.
For some clarification, I'd like to respond.
Your name and address.
Oh, sorry. Robert Beltran, 2014 Regner Road, same place I was last time I stood here. Yeah, I'd like to speak to the previous person's question about it being on the ballot. Because the ballots have been printed, yes, it's on the ballot. The 27th was the cutoff deadline, and unfortunately we weren't able to intercept that legally, or I should say judicially, although we're still working on it. But this could still come around again, and so I just have to go back to the verbiage that's on the agenda here, that no referendum or ballot measure consolidating or limiting the township, etc., shall be certified to be put before the voters. That means that even if we get it off now, it doesn't mean they couldn't turn around and do it again.
Right.
So that's why we have the verbiage the way it is.
Good.
And since it is on the ballot now, I'm assuming that a court doesn't order it to be pulled and the ballots reprinted and all that kind of stuff. We want to make sure that that measure doesn't get counted, and if it for some reason gets counted, that it's still nullified.
Right.
So.
Do we have to put up with all the signs? It's all over.
Yeah.
How much money did that cost?
That's not for me to answer.
I think she had her hand up first there.
I did not sign up, I did not see the sign up list to speak, but I just have just a.
This isn't part of that anyway.
Okay, so I just have, regarding the information.
Give your name, Carol. I'm Carol Persky, and I live at 5114 North Westwood Drive, Mchenry. Regarding the information that we all are seeking, at the last township board meeting, I wrote up specific questions. I presented the original to Mr. Bob Anderson as a freedom of information. I gave copies to the other electeds and officials at the table, and at this point, I have not heard one word. So he is ignoring FOIA rules. That's it. And isn't it pitiful that the folks we elected to represent us aren't even here tonight?
Yes.
Mike Toller again, 7511 Hickory Trail, Wonder Lake again. So regarding the question of the question still being on the ballots, confusing the voters. I'm an election judge. I've been an election judge for four or five elections now, I think. They all kind of blend together. I'll tell you this, the average voter is slightly smarter than we give them credit for. There are some of them that are slightly less, but most of them are slightly more than we give them credit for. And I think that mostly could be addressed in the voting areas with signage. Signage that item is on your ballot, but it is no longer valid. That would be the best way to address that. And then as far as the new electronic voting machines, those can be reprogrammed to remove it right from them. And that's a matter of non-consequence.
Thanks, Mike.
Could the people who work at the polls inform voters when they come in, just to ignore that one?
The question was that the people at the polls inform voters not just to ignore that one. That's the point of the signage. Where the people that work at the polls, the election judges, are not really allowed to discuss anything that's on the ballots. It's no electioneering. Just like you get that. You got so far before. Yeah, exactly. So we can't really talk about what's on the ballot, but a sign stating that that item is no longer valid is not that big of a deal.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that motion?
You call for a voter.
Hello, Larry Mullally, 7312 Parkwood Drive, Wonder Lake. Just want to comment on a couple of things, even to follow up on most of what has been discussed. For the concepts that we can deal with consolidation or abolishment of this road district is one, the county taking it over. All right, county already had made comment that that's not something they're interested in. We look at the fact that they have 30 maintenance workers, we have 15 for the township. They have 6 engineers, we have 1. Do the math, where do you think we're going to save the money at? Number 2, a town could take it over. 4 towns. Well, Mchenry could take over their small portion, possibly. Johnsburg, very small portion. Wonder Lake, Bow Valley, some of these other towns, I have no interest. I've seen the roads in Bow Valley, and I've seen Wonder Lake's roads. Not the roads through Wonder Lake that the county and the township handle, but Wonder Lake's roads. As bad as Bow Valley's roads and on the same path. Not something of a consideration. Number 3, hiring a contractor. You gotta pay the contractor prevailing wage. Prevailing wage at the bottom end for Teamsters or laborers is well into the 40s. All right, our guys aren't making that for the township, even with their benefits. Okay, so you gotta consider the full package. Hiring an administrator, all right, where are you gonna hire an administrator for $40,000 a year at? All right, so the 4 concepts are gone, all right? My $125 a year I pay to the township, covering the senior center, the parks, the ball fields. You take all that and you close that all down, which is Bob's true goal. Basically devalues our homes. Our homes lose value because people do not want to be here because they don't have parks for their kids to play ball in, for the seniors to go to places. Go sledding in the wintertime. Just have a picnic. We don't all live on a beachfront lake house on Wonder Lake. All right, so we don't have those amenities to just bypass these that we have. All right? Plain and simple, we have people on our board that lack knowledge. They certainly lack transparency, and they lack my vote ever again. Thank you.
Any final discussion on that, or should we go to a vote? All right. All those in favor? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Moderator and clerk can vote as well.
those opposed?
I have a question. Is there some reason that the trustees don't have to be here tonight?
It's not required.
But for the motion, we have 61-0, so the motion carries. And we have no old business, no other business on the agenda, so the only thing left will be a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a quick statement, please.
Okay.
And I'll speak loud, I don't want to use the mic. All the people in Mchenry Township, this is it. If we represent everybody in the township, I'm proud of us.
Motion to adjourn. And a quick question, point of order. I thought we could make a statement afterwards as well. I don't understand the running of this township board, and why are we doing all of this consternation back and forth? Can we impeach another?
I can't hear you.
I am new to McHenry. Okay, I agree. I'm new to McHenry. My name is Bill King. I live here at 2011 Clinton Court. I've watched for this year and a half that I've lived here this kind of back and forth consternation between the will of the people versus the will of the board. I don't understand this, and I'm beginning to think that maybe we should impeach and get rid of those guys.
Alright, so we have a motion to adjourn by Carol Persky. Do we have a second on that?
Second. Mike Toller.
Second. And all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Good work, sir.
Was this stream today?
How are you doing?
Fireworks show. I liked his deal. He represents
his problem. He'll get a. Thank you. Excellent. Excellent comment. Well, let me find out. I got a opinion. Daughter and son-in-law, nothing but son-in-law. And at the time, you don't get made 80 grand.